As you can see, I've got my La Pavoni taken apart here. I don't have my tripod, but I wanted to make a quick little video in case anyone else is working on their espresso machine. I'm in the process of repairing and upgrading this. This machine is one of the older La Pavonis from somewhere around 85 or 1990, I believe. I'm the second owner of it. You can see on this one it has two switches. With this video I just basically want to go through some of the stuff I've found out about the machine in case it helps anyone else who is either planning to work on these machines or who has purchased one. I'm also planning to do a video when I get this back together showing how to pull a shot as well as fine-tuning the grind and tamp. Anyways, as I was saying, this is the older machine. It has two switches. It's not currently plugged in, but if you turn this one, the top one turns the power on and a little light lights up in here. I think this switch has been replaced, so I'm not sure if this is an original factory switch or not. The bottom switch controls the temperature. There's two elements in here, and one of them is the low setting, which is used for extraction, and then the high setting is used to generate steam. The low setting, once the machine heats up, and everything on this machine gets very hot to the touch. Once on the low setting, once the machine heats up, steam will continue to come out of this little pressure valve. I read somewhere that the pressure valve limits the pressure in here to 1 bar, which is 14.7 psi. I don't have the pressure gauge on here, but I have read that on some of the forums. Anyways, as you can see, the machine's taken apart. I had to fix some of the wiring. Let me give you a quick look under here. If you look under here, you can see it's pretty simple. I have the base taken off. There's just one screw that goes through here and catches a nut on the bottom side of this. But you can see the wiring's pretty straightforward. It comes into this switch, and then the power, when you turn on power, it bridges over to this side of the switch, which allows you to either direct the power to the high or low sides. I have it marked here. This side of the switch, you can see, is the 1 side, and then this is the higher side for steam, or the 2 side. So you can see under here they have I believe this is a reset switch here, acting kind of like a fuse for when it overheats, I think. But you can see the electricity comes in, and based on the location of the switch, it either directs it to I guess the larger or the smaller elements. You can see on this one, I've got it marked. This one and this one is the low setting, so power is directed through here when you have it on the 1 setting, which is for extraction. And then here, this one and if you can see, these two here are responsible for the steaming. And so that gives you a little bit of an idea of how things are oriented in this machine. Let's see what else. As you can see, I have the group head off. Basically, the way this machine works is you put water in here. This allows you to see the same level that is present in the boiler. Then you turn on the heating element down here. It heats this up, and then the boiler the whole machine gets hot, and then you can introduce the hot water into the group head. Now the group head bolts right here. I originally took this off because it looked like it wasn't aligned correctly, but actually that's just the way the parts were cast. And then you can't really see down in here, but this is for the steam wand, and you open this up and steam will come through here when you have it set to the higher setting. And when you have it set to the higher setting, steam comes just flying out of the pressure relief valve, but it works pretty well. This has this little tip unscrews. It has 3 holes, you can see, from La Pavoni. Now, I went on Orphan Espresso and purchased a single hole tip to change this around because I have trouble with getting the milk texturized the way I want it with the microfoam. Now, right here, you can see this is at first I wasn't sure what this was, but what this is it's a drip tube, which will come down and drip on the tray here. It's a drip tube for the condensation that collects around the pressure relief valve. So when this relief valve is letting the pressure come out of the boiler, some condensation and steam develops around here, and then that coagulates or pools down at the bottom of this little fixture, and then comes down this little drip tube and drips down into the drip tray. Here's the drip tray over here. You can see it's two pieces. There's a little plastic piece that sits right in here, and then on my particular machine it's a stainless steel tray that fits in there. As far as I know, this is the original equipment. This is the top. When I first got it, it was all black, so I didn't realize that this is actually brass here, but I took some Barkeeper's Friend, which is a cleaning product that you can find at stores, and use a little toothbrush and clean this up, and it makes there's a little gasket on here too, although mine appears to be slightly different than the ones that I see which are available for the replacement parts, but you can see this goes on here. When I first bought the machine, I had read about how if you run out of water while making espresso, you have to let the machine cool down, and it's a big hassle. However, in practical experience with this machine, I've only had it a week or so, but actually once it runs out of water, and you want to be careful because when it runs out of water, I always turn the power off so that I'm not baking those elements with no water around them. The elements come up to about here. Anyways, once you run out of water, if you open up the steam valve and purge some of the water through the group head, then you can very carefully unscrew this. Steam will come out, and you have to be very careful, but if you kind of shake it, you can get the pressure out of the boiler, and then you can pour more water in and turn the heat back on. Just looking at some of the other pieces here, you can see I've got the group head. I'll try to get a good shot of it here. This is the siphon tube that goes into the boiler. So when you put this back in, this actually goes down in here. Like I said, I don't have my tripod, so it's kind of hard to get this, but I did want to make a video while I had everything apart. If you look down into the group head, you can see there's a cylinder. It looks kind of like a brass cylinder, and then there's a clip down in there that holds a little bushing where the piston, this part of the piston rides up and down in. And you can see the grooves where the portafilter tabs engage. You can also see down there there's 3 holes. There's 2 which are connected to this filter tube here, the siphon tube, and then there's one, I don't know if you can see, there's one at the very top which is a sort of a relief valve, so that when you pull the handle up and the piston goes up, it gives it somewhere for the air, steam, and water to be pushed back through the outer area here, back into the boiler. And then when the piston gets at the very top, it exposes those 2 holes, which allows water to come into the group head, and then when you push down, you're pushing the water through the grounds or the grinds in the portafilter. Now the way this goes together, and I should mention the reason that I took mine apart here is because I was having sealing problems around the portafilter basket and the group head. I was getting some leaking, not to mention that the portafilter handle was going clear back. I'll try to show you here. It was going clear back to about the 11 o'clock position when I locked it in, whereas it should be going to about the 8 o'clock position. The reason for that had to do with the gasket here. I'm almost out of time on this video, so I'll continue on video number 2. Be right back.